top of.
Nick Clegg has no plans to campaign. The party president and the party's deputy leader are due in Bradford next week.
Imran Hussein, Labour had 13 years to sort out the problems of Bradford West. Why should voters give you another chance?
I think we did make significant progress whilst we were in government. I remember the times when I attended a surgery in Bradford West that was a terraced house, a back-to-back terraced house. We now have state-of-the-art NHS facilities, we have new schools, so there has been some progress, and I think that was all under the Labour government.
Jackie Whiteley, the Conservative candidate, I mean, what a week it's been. We've had the budget, you're going to be taxing pensioners more, fuel prices are going to go up, we're going to pay more for our booze. Not a great backdrop to fight a by-election, is it?
I don't agree with you. I think it's an amazing budget, especially for business, and we need more jobs in this area. I mean, corporation tax cutting, the chance for cheaper finance for companies, that need cheap finance, guaranteed by the government, superfast broadband and improved rail links. All good news, I think.
Jeanette Sunderland, why won't Nick Clegg come to Bradford West so voters can give their feedback on the coalition?
I'm not sure Nick Clegg's not coming to Bradford West.
Oh.
That's news to me. I think Nick would be very proud to come to Bradford. We've got taken 17,500 people out of income tax altogether. Another 175,000 people are going to be get a tax cut this year. I just think it's something that you'd want to celebrate. And after 13 years of a Labour government, Lib Dems in a coalition government have done more for poorer people than they did in 13 years.
George Galloway, you were a Labour MP for a number of years. You've also represented the Respect Party in Parliament. You're not from Bradford. You've no history of representing Yorkshire. Is this an act of political opportunism?
Well, I don't know why you're asking me a nasty question when you didn't ask anyone else a nasty question, but that's what I've come to expect from the BBC. This is a democratic election. I'm a democratic politician. I have the right to stand here. There's no blood test. Everybody here came from somewhere, and I'm entitled to put my hat into the ring, and it's very firmly in the ring. The bookmakers have the Liberal Democrats at 80-1, the lowest prospect for a Liberal Democrat in political history. So I don't know why you're giving them time as if they were a major party in this by-election. Labour presided over the 13 richest years in British history with record parliamentary majorities, and everyone watching this who's from Bradford can see what the result was. We've got a hole in the city centre, we've got the Odeon falling down, we're 145th out of 155 in the schools league table. I know that Bradford City is not doing well in the football league, but in the education league we're doing even worse.
Sonia McNally, you're representing the UK Independence Party. I think you got 2% at the last election. You can't have high hopes here, can you?
Absolutely, we can. We can. We're fighting for Bradford West. We can do a lot for Bradford West. Yes, there are issues that need addressing, and we will get the chance to address these and deal with them. Not make empty promises, not think about what we need to do, but get on with what we have to do. That's what's important.
Dawood Islam from the Green Party. Can we afford green policies in the current economic climate?
We absolutely can, because with the Green New Deal we're actually the only major party that's got a fully costed answer to the nation's current problems that doesn't involve punitive cuts and cutbacks in public services. It's a completely costed plan that will provide thousands of new jobs in areas such as green energy and renewables, to name but two. It will create a whole raft of new entrepreneurs aged 18 to 25 to get some of the brilliant young people that we have in Bradford West that are currently being consigned to the scrap heap by the coalition government, instead to get them to come up with great ideas that we will help them fund to get projects off the ground.
Right, well, we've heard from the main three parties about their policies on the economy. Let's hear from some of the other parties now and find out how their candidates are hoping to win over Bradford West, and we're going to start with that man who thinks we're asking nasty questions, George Galloway.
I'm targeting every vote, whether they're white or Asian, whether they're Muslim or non-Muslim. Every vote has the same value in the ballot box and to me. Everyone has an interest in Bradford. Everyone has a concern about the problems in the city. The city is slowly sinking. The Financial Times this very morning declared that Bradford was the most at-risk city centre in the entire country. A shop in Bradford city centre is more likely to close than a shop in any city centre in the whole country, and that's a very deep concern to everyone.
The reaction on the doorstep is a very positive one. The people out there in West Bradford are pleased to see me, and I'm pleased to see them because they're the people I'll be representing. Now, there's questions that need answering, and these questions affect me as well. I am that person that's driving over the same roads with the potholes. I am that person that's being penalised with high car insurance. These things are the local issues that need addressing.
There are currently 1 million empty residential properties across the UK, and thousands of them are right here in the centre of Bradford. By putting them back into use, we could solve most of the affordable housing crisis at a stroke. These old back-to-backs would make excellent starter homes, but look at the state of this. It's nothing short of tragic.
Dawood Islam, who's going to pay for all those empty homes you want to refurbish?
Well, of course, the Green New Deal is one of the areas where we would remove the way that we look at taxation and make the people that are the polluters of society pay for more. We think that the people that are furthest removed from the credit crunch, that is people on benefits, people in low-paid jobs, the vulnerable and the disabled, these are the people that have absolutely nothing to do with causing the financial crisis. But these are the very people that are being asked to pay for it by the coalition government, and that's just plain wrong.
Let me bring in Sonia McNally, because up until earlier this year you were a member of the Green Party, now you're UKIP. I mean, that's a 180-degree turn, isn't it?
Absolutely, and you don't make decisions lightly. I looked at things, looked at the Green Party, I'd been there with them for a while, and then looked at UKIP, and what UKIP had to offer and offer the people was better, and I firmly believe that, otherwise I wouldn't have changed.
George Galloway, in your election literature you talk about bringing the troops home from Afghanistan. In a week when we've seen 6 soldiers from the north of England, their bodies flown back from that country, is this the right time to be talking about that subject?
Well, they've come home in a box, and I want the rest to come home before they come home in boxes. And I don't want anybody else planted in the ground as a result of a war that Labour started and the Liberals and the Conservative Party support. And by the way, don't look as if you're shocked. Most people in the country agree with me.
Yeah, but if you speak to the families of those soldiers, as I've done, the mothers, the parents, they want our boys to stay there to finish the job.
Oh, well, that's simply not true. I don't know.
It is true.
Well,
how many families have you spoken to?
Well, very many. I'm the Vice President of the Stop the War Coalition. If they'd listened to me, there wouldn't have been a war. And the Vice President of the Stop the War Coalition, which contains a specific section of military families against the war. And I could give you any number, if you'll give them airtime, of wives and mothers and children of dead soldiers who will tell you the precise opposite. The idea that we should stay and shed more blood because of the blood we've already shed is simply ridiculous. That's the First World War mentality in the trenches.
But there will be a worry that those soldiers, 5 of them from Yorkshire who came home this week, that they have died in vain.
They have died in vain.
That?
They have died in vain. They shouldn't have been sent there. They were sent there to their deaths by Tony Blair and George W. Bush. And the Tories and the Liberals are keeping them there. It's time to end the war in Afghanistan. We don't have the blood or the treasure to waste in somebody else's country thousands of miles away.
Imran Hussein, Bradford West has a very large Muslim population. Is this a problem for you personally? A war started by Labour, which is still supported by your party?
Can I firstly say my thoughts and prayers are with the families of Private Chris Kershaw from Bradford and the other soldiers. I don't think soldiers are to blame in any of this. Soldiers don't make decisions and soldiers are carrying out their job, and I think it's always important to remember that. I do believe that the soldiers need to come back, and I've maintained that. However, I do believe that equally we can't have extremists doing what they're doing across the world, and those problems need to be sorted.
So you support the war in Afghanistan?
I support getting rid of extremism, wherever that may be, and I certainly support our boys now coming home.
Would you support young Muslim men from your constituency joining the British Army? Would you advise them that's a good career move?
If that's what they choose as a career move, it's no different to any other career move, and if that's, everybody's got to make a choice as to what career they choose, and if that's a career move they choose, then I wish them the best.
Let's
Well, I'll
look.
put that on DVD and distribute it around the doors. I can tell you that in Manningham and in Toller and coming out of the mosques that I've just been at, what Imran Hussein just said was committing political suicide.
Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that at all. I think ordinary Muslims in Bradford would agree with what I've said. Ordinary Muslims in Bradford are peace-loving and don't support extremism. And I think they're very vocal about that, and they would agree with me that we need to stop extremism.
Blair and Bush that were the extremists.
Wherever we
Blair
stop
and
extremism.
Bush were the extremists. They're the terrorists. They're the people that killed more than a million people. Why don't you admit it? Your leader, the man you loved.
If I can finish, ordinary Muslims throughout this country are the most peace-loving people that don't support extremists, wherever that is. And I also feel I can provide a strong voice, because I think we do need that voice.
That might be the case, Imran, but the fact is that the war in Afghanistan has created homegrown terrorists. We're supposed to be going out there to prevent terrorism happening, but the 7/7 bombings happened as a direct result of our involvement in Iran and Afghanistan. So how do you close and square that?
This is an election about Bradford West, and I'm really concerned that we keep following an agenda which is about stop the war, and that's the right and the legitimate agenda to fight. But actually, this is an election about what happens in Bradford West to the lives of the young
It's a
people that are
parliamentary
there.
election. I don't know if you think you're fighting a council election. This is for a member of parliament. Now, you can send councillors to parliament, or you can send a parliamentarian to parliament. I think you'll find that's what people choose to
Barely
do.
got a record, George.
As a government, we've already announced that we're going to withdraw the troops, aren't we, by 2014? And that's dependent on Afghanistan being able to look after its own security.
Let's bring this back to Bradford and the economy of Bradford, which I think is going to dominate the rest of the campaign. I mean, David Cameron came to Bradford the other day. I mean, all right, there was big announcements for the city in the budget, the rail line electrification to Manchester, super fast broadband. I mean, does this have the whiff of pork barrel politics?
I don't think so. I think these were all planned events that were going to happen. You know, we have to remember that we inherited a massive amount of debt, and we've got to look at the way we can manage it. And, you know, I think that the actions that we're taking are all positive things. You know, bringing all these people, 24 million people will be better off paying less tax, 2 million completely out of taxation, and we're going to do very positive things to bring people back into employment. Young people are going to get the chance to get apprenticeships, work experience and jobs, and we've got real incentives, financial incentives to give to employers to encourage them to take on young people. I think we can do a lot in Bradford West, and I hope that they'll give me the chance to move this forward.
And Jeanette Sunderland, you don't think your candidate is going to be scarred by the actions of the coalition government?
Don't think this is a referendum on the coalition. I think that the time for the referendum on the coalition is 2015. It's got its eyes firmly fixed on 2015. It's got its eyes firmly fixed on sorting out the economy. This is about what happens here in Bradford West the day after, on the 30th of March, and who they have fighting for them in Parliament. I don't think that the budget delivered sufficiently for Bradford West. I don't think it delivered sufficiently for Bradford, and it needs people to campaign on those issues.
George Galloway, who will you represent if you're elected in Parliament? The Muslim population of Bradford or the white working class?
I never make these differentiations, and this is 4 or 5 times you've done it in this programme, and it's very dangerous and irresponsible.
But you're targeting Muslim areas in
that's
Bradford. There's no doubt about that.
False. Completely false.
So how many posters have you got up in Thornton, in Clayton?
Well, quite a few, actually. Quite a few. But my supporters put their own posters up, unlike Imran's, who get them put up for them. The people decide whether to put posters up, and the people decide who they're going to vote for. But it is flatly untrue that I'm targeting any specific ethnicity or religion for votes. And it's irresponsible of you to suggest that. Every voter in Bradford West is the equal of the other. There's nothing second class about a Muslim voter that you're somehow supposed to be embarrassed because you want them to vote for you. And I reject it and resent it, and so do they.
Imran Hussein, what are people telling you on the streets of Bradford about what is important to them?
One of the biggest problems is around youth unemployment. I mean,
but that happened under Labour. That's not a new phenomenon, is it?
Yes.
Well, since this time last year, long-term youth unemployment has tripled. I mean, that's massive. I've been talking to young people who want that first step on the ladder, and I think we're the only party that can deliver that. The Labour job guarantee, for 6-month job guarantee for all young people, long-term unemployed, That's not promises, that's not anything else, that's real work experience for those young people. And in places like Bradford West, you know, it's difficult enough. I've grown up on the streets of Bradford West, I've played there. It's difficult for young people, you know, that lack aspiration in the first place.
Yeah, but UKIP want apprenticeships back, technical college, just to give those youth, the young ones, the chance for employment.
We are going to have to bring this debate to a close. Thank you all for your time today, and I can tell you there are a total of 8 candidates standing in the Bradford West by-election on Thursday. You can see a full list on the BBC West Yorkshire website. Now then, let's go back to Andrew Neil in London.